Welcome to the Behind the Wind podcast. I'm Jake Martin. For over 50 years, the LSI team has been dedicated to the science of business development. We have seen the impact of our work and how it has evolved into economic development and now social impact. In this episode, Sean meets with Sarah Bertagnolli. They announce the upcoming transition of Sarah stepping into her role as the new president and CEO of LSI. They talk about LSI's legacy and the plans they have for taking it into the future. Let's dive in.
So let me just start out. What have you heard any good rumors?
No, not any at all. Maybe about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
So by the time this podcast airs, will have been announced that I have promoted Sarah to the position of CEO after a long transition over the last year. We've been working this really hard for a good 6 months, and so at the advice of Summer, she suggested that we hold this discussion between us and just talk about, what this means, what it looks like for the organization, for our clients, and whatnot. So I'm excited, really excited for this new chapter in LSI's history. I mean, for those that are listening that don't know this, there's only been three CEOs in the company's 52-year history. So it really is a epic landmark time in the company's history and could not have come at a better time either. So, I want you to know that it's been so fun working with you, and I knew that early on that this was going to be the right move for the corporation and for the team. So also, I'm really excited about the chemistry of the organization in general and your team and what has been accomplished in the last few years, really, and a lot has been accomplished in the last 2 years alone.
Right.
We have seen a significant change in the corporate culture for the better. So much new business. It really is. It's been fun to be a part of that, and I just have watched you orchestrate all of it, and been so impressed.
Thank you. And I think when people do hear this, right, they start to think this isn't something we just came up with February 1st and decided, to roll out. Your role in this process has been fundamental, meaning like your leadership and mentorship you provided me with invaluable insights into like all the strategic intricacies of the operations that I haven't been privy to, right, being COO. So we work closely, ensuring I absorbed really the essence of your business approach. So this was more of a, more than just a transition to me. I guess it was a carefully crafted passage of knowledge and responsibility with you and me. I mean, we started discussions last fall. So, and then also with our leadership team being actively involved every step of the way too.
So, I've got a whole list of notes. I think I've got 10 or 12 pages of notes that I'd like to walk through with you. But maybe to start, we've done a few recordings together over the last few years. But why don't you talk about your background and just some a foundation of your career too. I think you've got a really very interesting history, and your experience has really prepared you so well for this role as LSI's new CEO.
Absolutely. So we laugh because last week Sean and I were talking a lot about DECA because, his daughter competing in DECA now for high school. And really growing up, I think I thought the whole time I wanted to be a lawyer, right? That's what I thought until my senior year. I had a teacher in marketing and comms that said, "Hey, why don't you come join this DECA team? I need to get more people involved." And I did it. And that's where I got to create a business and then present on it. And I was telling you, I won state and then I got to go to nationals. And so I loved that. And I think that opened my eyes. And then it put me on a scholarship for that DECA program in college. And that's where I figured out I loved really all aspects of a company. I loved the marketing and comms. I loved the IT. I liked the operations. And so that set me on that trajectory a very, very long time ago. And then I had a great, a small company at the time, Merit Medical in South Jordan, Utah, that let me come on and start as an intern where I got to do IT half day and then sales in their sales and marketing division the other half of the day. And so I got to do that for a year. And then the other 4 years, I kind of moved into IT, which I thought that I would love. And I do love all aspects of IT, but, and no offense to any of my fellow IT folks, but they're, they like to be more, take it in the back, in the shadows. I really wanted to be forward facing and, work with clients or be in front of customers and such. And so then that took me to move on from them after 5 years to Wells Fargo, where I worked in project management for online customer service, so like customer experience and such. And I was there for 5 years and got to see all aspects of what we now call customer experience throughout other companies. And that's when I left for my long tenure at Zions Bank. And for the Bancorp, I held lots of positions. And, the last one that I had taken was where I managed in senior management, being a senior program manager over retail banking, wealth. I don't even know if I can name them all anymore. Commercial banking, business banking, just a lot of their different areas. I think there were 8 of us senior program managers in the bank that ran all the different programs. So that taught me really my love for operations, process, continuous improvement. Before coming here and consulting, and I've been with, some would say with LSI, right, for 2.5 years, but I've been here longer because I consulted with you guys first. Yeah. So, which I loved, and that really got us to build that foundation. But coming over here, to be COO and run the operations side, which I have truly loved, is, where I want my last spot to be for the next 20 years, 15, 20 years. And that's really the backbone. But a lot of mine has been IT a lot, but really that operations, process improvement, and continuous learning from the operations side.
Which is something that the company really needed to, what you've done in implementing solid process, establishing objectives, metrics, milestones, all the things that we talk about in terms of execution has just been phenomenal. And I really love that you have brought technology into the formula where you are looking at how can we automate this? How can we use tools, templates to improve our customer experience, improve internal and external communication, ensuring that we have the right data for good decision making. It has been fantastic. I really think that when I joined the company, I'm sure everybody's tired of hearing me talk about this, but we didn't have a computer in the company. We did all correspondence through typewriters, and we had a whole type pool. And I remember buying our first computer for the company. We joke about that. What you did quietly was that radical in bringing LSI into the 21st century and ensuring that we had easily accessible data, that our systems were safe and that everybody had the right tools in the company. That was amazing and just so necessary.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, investing, we've had this conversation lots of times with folks here, right? Investing in all technology isn't always the best scenario, right? It's got to make sense, but staying abreast of technological advances and investing in the new tools or platforms to streamline operations is always a win for sure. And it creates new opportunities for growth. But I do love that it coupled with, I think both of us are very data-driven decision making. So when we say reporting, and we've got so much more reporting in the last 3 years now than we had in the last 3 years. And that's not just from me, that's from the team, that's from our new CFO, that's from a lot of different places, right? That helps us and informs us to make good strategic decisions and then understand what our market trends are and identify new growth opportunities. So, I mean, you guys had all the data. I think it was just concatenating it, and you saw the vision, and I just made it happen. So,
well, and I think you said something to me a few weeks ago that, and I caught you at that time when you brought this up. But I've thought about this over and over. You said to me, in your humble way, which I love about you. You said, it was just you and I meeting, and you said, I look at all of the incredible talent and all-stars of LSI over the years, and it's true. I mean, we've had generals and appointees, political appointees. We've had, so many executives that have come out of marquee schools, Ivy League schools, Harvard Business, and just military, civilian, commercial executives that have come in and out of the company. And I mean, you said what? I'm humbled that to take on this role, and almost we had this little banter of why me? Why did you choose me? And I've really reflected on that, and I think that what has been magic about our relationship is that I'll explain to you, this is what I want to see. This is the potential. And I mean, not at the macro level, but also this is the potential of an individual. This is, so many times I've said, this is your potential. This is the potential of the team. And this is the vision. And then you'll go implement it. And it's really, this is why you're the right person for this position. You've always executed the vision, and there's been a lot of times where we've had hard conversations. You've always been so well prepared. You presented your side, and a lot of times I cave and say, you're right. You're right. This is the right thing. But if I do say, no, this is where we're going, you always have said, okay. And you've always marched forward. And I think that's why you've been successful. That's why you and I have made such a great team, building vision collectively, and then just watching you execute. And I'm excited for this next phase of the company's history.
Yeah, I think touching on a couple of those points, it's why it sometimes frustrates me when the first thing they want to ask the incoming is, what are you going to do different? And sometimes I think, why do I have to do anything different? We have the same leadership style, I feel like, where we're both coaching and supportive leadership style, meaning we're going to provide the guidance and support to our team members, or, our direct reports, but give them that autonomy to make those decisions or take risks and learn from their mistakes. And so I feel like you've done that with me, and I've in turn done that with my team. And so we have the same leadership style and around decision making and team empowerment and kind of fostering innovation and such. And so sometimes I want to just say, I'm going to continue it. The continuity is going to be there. Yeah, I have some different ideas or some things, I have vision for the future. Absolutely. And mine's probably differing, but for the most part, why isn't it just a continuation, right? LSI's already been successful. We have amazing people, like some of the types you've mentioned that did work here and some of the ones that still do work here. I mean, I've worked at, like I said, places like Wells Fargo, where I didn't work with someone who's been here 17, 18 years. When I first came on, I thought that kind of the least amount was maybe, Summer being at, 4 or 5 years. I mean, there are a lot of legacy folks here that says a lot about the company. So to me, we have that same leadership philosophy and strategies. And so it has worked well together. And I think our synergy to the entire C-suite has worked really well together. And we have had hard discussions and had hard conversations, and everyone's had to give up points and see the other person's point of view. But I just like that inclusive decision making and the team empowerment that you have given and entrusted it to all of us who report to you. And that's what I have in turn tried to do as well.
And I think that chemistry really has been so critical. I've always said this, that you can have a team of all-stars, and if they don't like each other, if they can't play together, if there's no cohesiveness and they're not having fun, it's not going to work. And this team that you've put together and we've collectively worked over the last few years is just, I think it's the best leadership team in the history of LSI ever.
And I want to say, I don't think you plucked us as all-stars. You plucked us as these diamond in the roughs, right? That maybe where we were at were overlooked, and you could see that potential in us. And that's why I like it, because it is the stream team now, but it's the stream team, I wouldn't say of misfits, but it's a stream team of people who, these diamond in the roughs, but we weren't maybe all-stars from where we came from.
I can remember somebody, when I hired you, they said, what does Sarah know about our business? And I said, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised at how much she knows, and the background that she's had has made her uniquely qualified to lead this organization. And everybody is.
And you did say that, and I don't even know that I believed you at the time, because it's this baseline of a skill, this kind of hard and soft skill that you said, I can teach you the rest. And I thought, I didn't know, I knew what RFPs from a technology and a, private sector, what they came from, but I didn't, someone could have told me what a multi-award contract was, or what, competitive RFP is. I didn't know what any of that meant. And you've shown me that, and you downloaded, and that's why I say a mentorship is, I feel like you have transported all of your knowledge over to me, because now I would be confident if someone tried, like, hey, come out, I can vet this, I can tell you what this is. And that's because of what you had downloaded to me and the knowledge that you transferred.
I mean, that's a great point. Even in the midst of you coming in, taking on this role, and you were learning a new language, and you were learning a new industry, and you rocked it. And I saw a lot of myself in you. I didn't know anything about this business, and I had a lot of executives in the company saying, you'll never be able to succeed in our business unless you had 30 years with the government. It's just nonsense.
Yep.
And you learned it so quickly, so well. And if you didn't know something, you were not afraid to ask, which I think is, we've had a lot of individuals that have come into the company that have just been impressed with their education or their position, and they stop learning. And I think to be successful in this business, and one of the reasons I've had so much fun and have every day for over 30 years, I've been excited to get up and do this, is there's so much to learn. It is every day is something different, and you're going to learn something new, and it keeps you, childlike, that you're just always absorbing so much. And one of the things I said to you when I hired you was, you're not going to be bored. You'll never be bored.
No, and it challenges you, which I need that really in all aspects of my life, for sure. Why I had a baby at 42. I don't know, but I want that challenge, because I remember maybe it was a year and a half ago. A client had called me after hours, and I'm talking to him, and I get off the phone, and my husband's like, "What business do you have finding them X, Y, and Z over in this country?" Right? I won't disclose them. And I just thought, I don't know, but and within a week and a half, we had opportunities for him that I thought there's no way in hell we would be able, but it's crazy, and it's just challenging. And I mean, I see why you loved it for so long.
Well, and as I said, I see a lot of my history and the way I approach the company in the way you approach the company. When I joined the company, there were people that had been with the company a long time, 15 or 20 years, that had 15, 20 years of the same experience that they had the first year they were there. And they were they were impressed with their rank. They were impressed with their education. They were impressed with their, previous position, and they refused to learn. They were so arrogant in the way they approached it. And the clients pick up on that, right? They know when you're truly interested. And when I say clients, I mean internal, external clients. So,
And I think one of the first things you told me early on too was, and this is why I think it went smoother, the transition, it was tough. And there wasn't a time I was in a meeting, I wasn't Googling acronyms or trying, to keep up with you guys. But I feel like that you said, just ask them what their challenges are. Ask them what hurdles do they have, and listen to them, and then be able to pivot, right? So it's like listening to, because you can have an aerospace and defense client, you can have a governor's office, you can have a municipality, we can have all these different clients, and there's no way to train one person and how exactly everything that could come up, but it's just listen to what they say and then approach it with your solutioning, that our solution framework, really.
right. Well, and one of the things that I think our team has struggled with over the years is I can never remember a time in my history with the company that a client has fired us for giving them too many ideas.
Yeah. Right.
Never. That never happens. It's always, listen, we haven't heard from your engagement lead and we're done, right? So it's not, it really is about being curious, having that servant mentality, internal and external. And you have that. I saw that early on. I think one of the things that I've had such an amazing experience, so lucky to have worked with really great clients, mentors that I look back and, I was the CEO of LSI when I was 23 years old. And to have clients take a chance on me as this young kid, one of my mentors I had shared with the SLT a few weeks ago had just passed away, and I'd worked with him so closely for over 20 years. He had been an executive in everywhere he had gone. He ended up leading the organization really in three different publicly traded companies. I mean, one, Honeywell, Allied Signal, Raytheon now, and he just passed away. And I have been reflective, not surprisingly, in this over this process, that And I felt like, wow, this is, some of these things, like this longtime mentor of mine who was a client for 20 plus years and taught me a lot. I mean, he took a chance on the company and on me and personally and helped. A lot of times he'd call me and give me advice and say, here's my observation on this, and have you thought about this? And so he was so good, such a great mentor. But I've had this great opportunity, and you've seen this just since you've been here, that you get to work with different individuals that have different styles. And one of my observations, I know that there's, somebody is going to send me some note or put in the episode comments. I don't agree with you. I love that. I do. I mean, I'm not kidding. I read every single comment, every question we respond to. I mean, that's one of the things I really do enjoy about this. But there's really three different types of CEOs. I mean, that's it. There's three. And there's the sales CEO, somebody that came and has this innate ability to sell, and he or she becomes the CEO of the organization because they did great things in sales. There's the operations CEO that leads the organization through continuous improvement and process change and transforms the organization through amazing operation excellence. And then the third is accountants. And I challenge somebody to say, yeah, there's another species of CEO that's out there. When I joined the company and it had at 22 years old, and I didn't know that I couldn't do this, and as you said, I just started listening to these clients, trying to craft a solution, and I sold engagements and grew the company, doubled the size of the company in less than a year, the company had been very stagnant for several years. And
but I think when you told me that, one of the things that you'd said, like we just talked about this, I guess we're all reminiscing and reflecting on the past few months for sure, but was that like this colleague of yours and this mentor that had just passed away, is that it may not have been the most glamorous deal, right? But what you were doing for him, he did take a chance, which was pivotal in, your growth going forward. And so I think he took that chance because and the way that whole deal went down, right? And the way they said, hey, get up here and let's do this, is they trusted you, you listened, you know what I mean? I think that at that point, it's the person that they've really built that relationship with. And, that's why he stayed a lifelong mentor and friend for sure.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that was my path to be leading this organization, which I was really lucky to have had this opportunity all of these years. We talk about this a bunch. You are very operations. You have come from, as we've already discussed, transforming the organization in process, in technology, in data collection and retention. And so one of I guess my advice to you is, that's your DNA, and you are so good at that, and don't let go of it, and you love it. I mean, how much I love sales, and that was my DNA, and being in front of the client and listening to their challenges and just thinking about ways I can build a solution and build a proposal around whatever their needs are. That was my passion for all of these years. And your passion has been operations. And you love it. You love that. Don't let that go. And getting in the weeds on occasion and be doing, really go out and look at engagements at a very micro level, and don't forget about that. My advice to anyone is they're looking at leadership transition is don't try to be the previous leader. Be your own leader. Establish your own bars of excellence and standards, and you'll succeed. And I mean, it took me a while to learn that okay, I'm never going to be Jerry. And when I stop trying to be him, which I'll never be, and I'm not now, forever would be. It became it was a flow and easy and effortless in a lot of ways. So, I mean, I guess that would be some advice that
I love that.
I'd give to you and anyone that is moving into leadership transition. And you'll never be the previous leader's shadow. That's not, and it's not what this is about. And it's going to make the organization better, where you're bringing your talents and insight to the organization.
Yeah. And I think I love that, because I do, and I will agree with you. So I'll help with the comments. Is I think there are 3 types of CEOs. I'm going to agree with you. And that's what I've seen in my, in the history I've been at with certain companies, is you do have that sales mentality. Operations are really the folks that are kind of CFO, accounting, really numbers-based driven. And so I think what you've also enabled me to do is set myself up with a team that I have these strengths and I need to hone in on my strengths, right? But there are areas that are going to be that I'm not as strong at. And that's why I have a great team around me, where at the time you had to be that visionary, the operator, the executor, the salesman. You've enabled and given me that team that is great, that can fill those spots in any of those blind spots I would have.
Absolutely. And let me just say that your team is amazing. They all are in this position because they are so talented, and where I just think that your team now, they're the best who have ever filled those positions, and that's really fun. I mean, it's.
But I think you instilled in us that a typical CEO, right? Maybe there are some that want to just sit and make siloed decisions in their office, and that's what they do. We don't do that. We meet daily. We have daily stand-ups with our team, our C-suite team, that I don't think other companies do. That maybe they meet once a month or something, but we're all, hey, let's tackle this. I've got this. We have HR that is huge in what decisions we make. And that's maybe not your typical norm, but you built that. And I love that. And that's what we're going to continue forward, right? Is that everybody is getting a say, because everyone has a different perspective on something. A challenge I would have versus a challenge sales would have versus, finance. So I love that we all kind of give our input and support as well. But I mean, I think it's amazing.
And I'd encourage you to continue to bring your team together daily, even if there's not a lot on the agenda, just that connection, bringing the team together, ensuring that everyone's doing okay. You can tell, right? I mean, how many times over the years we've had these SLT meetings, and I pulled somebody aside and said, all right, what's going on? What's your problem? What's the story? And we don't let it fester, and we bring it to the table. And I think having that relationship and that chemistry is so critical, because, I mean, oftentimes you look at okay, oh, there's a crisis, and now you're bringing everybody in under a crisis, going, what are we going to do with this? And it's difficult where if there's a crisis, and there's been a lot, right? So if there is a crisis, everybody's working together. Everybody understands the strengths and weaknesses of the team, and they're there for each other to ensure that we're making the right decisions for the organization, for the individuals, our clients. It's just, I'd encourage you to continue to do that. It has been, I think, an important element of our success and why we've achieved this exponential growth and achieved a lot of the objectives that we set out to achieve. You remember we had this corporate offsite, and I've been several years ago. We built so much of the foundation for what has happened. Where you look at where we are today, that was set in motion all those years ago. Where here's what we're going to achieve, and we have, and just coming together and making sure that we're on track, or no, we're not. So
Yeah, I think transparency is key, and especially in this post-COVID era, right? I think all industries across the board are wrestling with this accelerated change. So our strategic position by all of us kind of coming together and doing this on a daily basis, that may sound like a lot to folks, we can triage. And so it allows us to adapt to these shifts, like something of a COVID, pandemic again, rather than to be led by it. So
I been in the same office for over 20 years, and anybody that has lived in a house for a long time and then moves after 20 years can relate to this. Oh my goodness, I have accumulated so much stuff over the years that people have given me, that clients have given me, that I've held on. Many people know that I've kept a scrapbook since I've been there. I wanted to make sure that I remembered this journey. And I mean, I've got this scrapbook that poor Summer has tried to manage it. I think we've got a whole room full of stuff now that is just.
I love it. I'm getting all sorts of neat stuff on my desk and things I can frame, like a pricing sheet from 2008.
How about that? Last week I boxed up a lot of my office, and Summer came into my office and she was sort of crying, and she said, aren't you sad about this? And I said, no, I'm not sad at all. I'm happy. I said, here's why I'm so happy about this. When I joined the company, Jerry, my grandfather, who was one of the founding principals of the company, and there were 5 principals, and while all of them were all stars in their own right, Jerry was the CEO of the company, and there was no question that he was in charge. And I mean, the company was Jerry. And then I thought, okay, the company was me as well, and that if I wasn't here, then it wouldn't function. And I mean, for so many years, I didn't take a vacation. I mean, I always took off between Christmas and New Year's. That was my time to ski. Now everybody knows that.
Yep.
But I mean, there were years that I didn't have, other than my skiing between Christmas and New Year's. Never took a vacation. Worked Saturdays and Sundays, 15 hours a day, every day for all those years. And because I thought if I wasn't there, the company wouldn't continue. And what I think is so amazing is that it doesn't matter that if I'm there every day or not, because it's not, it's about the team. It's about this vision that we as the SLT have collectively implemented. It is not about one person. We are a brand. The LSI 50-year brand will continue for another 50 years or longer. And it's not about me. And I'm really happy about that. It's been a challenge. It's been, it's been fun to think about me taking my grandfather's company and running with it for all these years. He served as CEO for 20 years. I acquired the company, and I've had it now for 32 years. And I have no question in my mind that this brand will perpetuate and continue to serve our clients indefinitely. Really for 50 or 100 years. And I'm so happy about that. That was building the company's legacy was something important to me. I've always felt that burden that this was my grandfather's company, and I've got to make sure that it continues. And no matter how hard it got, I always thought of that. I always thought, okay, and especially after he had passed away, I thought I cannot allow this company to ever deliver a bad product, or this is his legacy. And I feel like I've achieved that in helping to create this infrastructure and foundation that it's not one person. It's not, if you or any member of the team, God forbid, doesn't make it to work tomorrow, it'll still continue. And we've put together processes and systems that will ensure that happens, which I just love. So, that was a long answer, but yeah, I'm really excited about it. And I'm so happy that we're at this point, because there's other things I want to do, like ski.
And hearing that, I think number one, Jerry'd be proud. I think he would be.
I think about that
by where the company is today, 100%. And I think I've thought a lot about that too, is carrying on a legacy, right? That has been family owned and passed. And how do I do that? And to me, that's that I understand the legacy, which I do 100%. I embody your core values that have always been there since, 1972. And I respect the traditions, but then I can also innovate thoughtfully myself as well. And so you've done a good job at instilling all of that on us to continue that legacy and keep it going. And I'm kind of from that hard knocks leadership too, that everyone's replaceable, and that's not bad. I want to be the leader. I got to points in my professional career before where I felt like they couldn't make decisions without talking to me. I felt too relied on, if that makes sense. And that's really exhausting and smothering to feel. You want to empower your team, and not that, hey, I don't appreciate you. Of course, I appreciate and love all my people. It's that I want them that, yeah, if I don't come in for a week or something did happen or I needed that it's going to run and it's going to run smoothly. And that's a mark of a true leadership. And so, I thank you for that.
Well, and you remember when I called everybody called the entire SLT into the conference room, and I said, I've decided I'm going to Greenland. And I've been trying to do this during COVID, and it finally was going to happen. And I said, in the previous 30 years, I had never been off the grid, inaccessible
in April, right?
in
Yeah,
April for 2 weeks ever. But also I knew, I said, I'm not worried. I totally trust all of you, and if I don't come back, it's okay. I mean, the company will continue, and this foundation that we'd established. It was the first time in my career that I had gone 2 weeks and not had any access to the organization, and sure enough, I came back and it was better.
it did explode.
It was even better. Well, and we've done some of this, over the years, that like, hey, I'm going to Alaska. I'm doing some of these things that I've always wanted to do my whole life, but I never felt like I could be away from the company for an extended period of time. And you have my full trust and support, and the whole team does. I mean, this team really is incredible, and I'm so happy. I've also thought a lot about my transition after I'd acquired the company. I mean, I've told this story in previous episodes, but I mean, the plan, Jerry's plan, and the plan of the organization was that they had started this really as a way to keep their friendship together after the war and after serving in the government, either in a military or civilian role, and it turned into a real business. And Jerry had this idea that he was gonna just turn the lights out and walk away, and they're really, I mean, it had stagnated, and the five principals of the company were all in their 70s and 80s at the time, which was old. I mean, 30 years ago, that was old. I
Yeah,
mean,
now we get closer to it. It's not so old, but yes.
but they were going to turn the lights off and just shut it down. And but then I had come in and had doubled the revenue of the company in a short period of time, and I needed a job, right? And so when I went to the board meeting and made this crazy proposal, I'm 23 years old. I want to buy the company. All the four of the five principals said, "Great, where do we sign?" And Jerry said, "You and I are going to have our own deal." So, which was interesting. It was an interesting formula, but that I mean, he valued his equity in the company by every time the company was revalued, it would double. So it was it just kept getting bigger and bigger. But so the four of the five principals left immediately. Jerry stayed on for a few years, really in a very part-time role. But when he promoted me to CEO, the company, and I'd acquired all the shares of the company, he left for a year. And I don't know. I never asked him what happened with all of that.
Right. Was it strategic?
And I think it was. I mean, in a lot of ways, I think he had in his mind, I'm going to walk away. So there's this burning platform. There's no way back. The bridges have been cut, and nobody's going to be able to talk to me, including you. I mean, and in a lot of ways, I just saw him really make a clean break from the company, and he did really. He never came back. He had an interest, asked me questions, but for a solid year he traveled. He and his wife, I lost my grandmother when I was 13, and then he remarried, and he and his new wife, he remarried while about the time that all this was going on, that I had acquired the company, and they wanted to do some things. They went to Europe, and I mean, they had like a circuit that they went and did some things that he had been wanting to do for his whole career and hadn't. But I did not talk to him. I couldn't reach him. He and I did not talk for over a year, which was hard for me. I mean, I was close to him, and I mean, he and I had been very close, and so I think the good of it was I had to figure this stuff out. And the bad was I made a lot of mistakes that were probably unnecessary. And, I was doing it wrong. And I wanted and needed and could have used his guidance through this and just the history. I mean, I'd have an accountant say, here you go. This is, this, hey, we've got this tax matter, and oh my goodness, had never heard about it. He'd never told me about it, and just had to work through it. And it did teach me a lot. It did necessitate that I stood up and made it happen and figured it out myself, and I had nobody to go to. But like I said, on the other side of it, I made a lot of mistakes that were unnecessary and could have used his advice. And my promise to you is that unless I tumble off a cliff in the backcountry,
Which is likely in your lifetime.
my kids all know this. They all know that the way I'm going is by avalanche, and that's my preferred way. But that I'm here for you, and that it's not going to be, that I'm just walking away from the organization and the team, and but that I want to see you be successful. I want to see this team succeed, and that whatever I can do to help in terms of the history, guidance, recommendations, I'm here for you.
I love that. I will accept the training wheels approach, and I love it. And because I think at the time, obviously too, back then we probably didn't have cell phones. And so he cut you off and he traveled, which was needed. But I love that, I know where you live. I know where you're sitting. I got your cell phone. We got everything. But I do also want to say that I am so thankful for you. I'm thankful for your leadership. I think it's been a beacon to all of us, both personally and professionally. You've been more than a leader. You've been a mentor to me. Like I said, generously sharing your vast knowledge with me, imparting your wisdom that's shaped my approach to leadership. So I want to thank you and your trust in my abilities that have been unwavering, even when they haven't been for me, and granting me the autonomy to innovate and experiment boldly and embrace risks. So thank you.
It's been fun, and I will continue to do amazing things. As I said, you've got my full support, love, trust in taking this company to its next level. I really mean to look what we've accomplished as a team in the last 30 years during my tenure as CEO, what you're going to accomplish. I just so excited to watch, and you're going to do amazing things. You really are a unique individual, so much potential and heart and tenacity. You never let go. You never let it go. I just love that about you. I see that strength in you that's similar to me, and I mean that's what's, you've got to have that you, no matter what it is, no matter what the obstacle in front of you may be, that no, we're gonna make this happen. We are not gonna let this go no matter what, and we're gonna achieve our objectives. And
Absolutely.
You're going to do amazing things.
Thanks. Let's do some great things. Cheers to that.
So, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions from from our organization, ongoing, a lot of questions from our clientele, from the community and industry as a whole. And we welcome that. Please, if there's any thoughts, questions about this transition moving forward, please talk to Sarah. Everyone knows within the organization how to communicate through their leadership, but in the industry and with our clientele, and while we've had a really great communications plan that we put together, if there are comments, questions, or thoughts that you have, please just respond to this episode, and we'll get back to you and address those comments as soon as possible. But it's going to be fun, and I look forward to this next chapter in LSI's history.
Thank you,
Sarah. Thank you. This was fun.